All right, so hello and welcome to the RPG Academy podcast Twitch stream. My name is Michael, and we are here tonight for session 2 of our new 13th Age campaign, Shadows Spawns. Or is it Shadows Pawns? We'll find out. Joining me tonight on the virtual podcast desk, we'll start with Brad tonight. Brad, say hello to everyone.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
And remind everybody who you are playing.
I am playing Saladin, who goes by Saul, and he is an elven sorcerer.
Excellent. And then to his right, at least on my screen, is Caleb. Caleb, say hello, everyone. Tell them who you're playing.
Hi, everybody. I am playing Rio Baymont, the human wizard.
Excellent. And then finally, with Lisa. Lisa, say hello to everyone. Tell them who you are playing.
Hello to everyone. I am Lisa, and I am playing Daria Irthos, a half-elf caster.
Of some
Something.
sort.
Some
Excellent. So if you joined us for our first session, our characters knew each other in the past. We haven't established exactly how, when, where, and why. We're going to get to that. But we started with what is essentially a flash forward with our characters on a riverboat barge in the middle of a storm, being chased by assailants of unknown origin with what appears to be explosive cargo. And then we ended that scene with a necro-enhanced cyber werewolf boarding the barge. Then we cut to what we are calling the present, where Daria and Saul met up in this archaeological dig. I don't know if there's a technical term for that. Basically, there's a city from a lost age that sank into the ground in what appears to be almost pristine condition. The entire city just sort of sank into the earth, was covered up, and now some of our NPCs have discovered it and are in the process of excavating it. They will learn that Rio is one of the people that has been on site and has been doing some exploring. Rio had ran into a little bit of trouble and just a scotch. And Saul and Daria not necessarily went to his rescue, but went to assist him. And the three of you managed to get away, but not before finding an object of unknown origin, a sort of thin metallic looking rhombus that I believe Rio still has. It's about half an inch, tall, about 3 inches wide, and about 8 inches long. I think those are the dimensions. We said it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out when it becomes important. And we met some of the important people around the camp, including Jiraiya, who is a dwarf who is missing one of their limbs from the elbow down, but it has a sort of a magical prosthesis. And he is sort of in charge of this excavation. Hey, Tom, thank you for joining us. Happy to have you with us. We also met... Going through my list here. I got them out of order. Taylock, who is the gnome who runs the sort of pop-up tavern inn that sort of supports all the dwarven diggers who are in the process of digging out the city. And Narvson, there we go, that's what I was looking for, who is Jiraiya's sort of right-hand woman who probably is actually running everything. We also met Howard, who is a dwarven warforged sort of character that's the local doctor healer for the area, and saw to some of the wounds that Rio had gathered from last time. Welcome, Tom Sparrow. Thank you for joining us as well. So we're going to pick up today with our three characters sort of waking up. Bullet notes. What are you talking about? I don't know notes. So we're actually going to start with Lisa today. So Daria, so you are dreaming as you are about to wake for the morning. So give us a little insight into Daria's dreams. What is she dreaming about?
Daria is dreaming that she is cozy and comfortable. She's laying in a hammock, like a woven sailor's hammock, in the crook of a huge tree growing over the river that she's a river guide on. And there's moonlight on this eddying water in the shallows beneath her, and there's cattails blowing and night birds kind of calling. she is really peaceful and at home, and there's the occasional strike in the water of a bird or a fish catching prey, and but then the water gets louder. The stream, the flow of the river starts to get a little faster, and that sounds a little louder and a little louder, and until the water underneath her is rushing. And it's nothing she's seen before. Clouds start scudding across the moonlight, making things a little bit more shadowed and ominous, and she starts to look around for her friends, and she can't find them. There's no one else here, but she starts to hear a growl.
All right. And is it the growl that wakes you up?
Yeah, the growl and the sound of enormous claws rending wood decking.
Okay.
And that's what wakes her up.
All right. So you start awake, and this obviously doesn't, I mean, it's not like a nightmare, but, you know, there's some anxiety-ness coming with that dream and how it's sort of changing and manifesting. But you start awake, and the first thing that you see is there is a cat, a black cat, lying on your chest. At least you think there is, or you thought there was, because as your eyes clear, you see that there isn't actually a cat on your chest, but lying on your chest is a fan, and it is splayed open, and there is an image of a cat, basically when the fan is open, that you can see, and it's a black cat that seems to be waking from a nap, so it's doing like, you know, like a classic cat stretch as it wakes up. You have no idea where it came from, no idea where how it got there, but you just see this lying on your chest. So other than that, how would you like to proceed as Daria wakes up?
Well, I'm in that tent in the dig proper of where everyone else is bedding down, so I'm sure it's not very secure. I'll kind of look around quietly. My first instinct is smell the fan. Smell it.
Okay. It smells. That's a good question.
Like, is it an old fan? Is it a new fan? Is it like an old sandalwood fan? Or is it?
So it definitely is old. It is in pristine condition, but it's definitely got old, and there's probably a smell is not necessarily musty, but as if it's been something that's been put away for a while and only recently brought out.
Awesome. And then I'll try to quietly creep to my tent flap or look around and see if there's anything disturbed or any footprints or any.
So there's too much activity around for you to pick out anything in particular, but you don't see anyone in around your tent. You also don't see that anything else in your tent has been disturbed. Again, we kind of ended last session with you getting this tent, so I don't even know if you've even put everything away or if everything's still sort of jumbled in there. Yeah, but nothing seems out of the ordinary. Nothing seems to have been moved or disturbed other than this fan that was on your chest.
I'm sure I just threw my kit down and hit the hay. Really, it was a long adventurous day before. Yeah, I will just close it, tuck it in my pouch. Is there anything written on the other side of it? Anything?
All right. So interestingly, when you reopen it and you realize, like, hey, actually, I want to look at that, the pose of the cat has changed, and it's no longer in the pose of waking up. Is now in the pose of it taking a nap in a ray of sunshine.
Well, thank you, whoever sent me this. This is lovely. This is really lovely. If you can hear me, cheers. Yeah, I'll put it away.
So one of the things about 13th Age is that when you have items of magical power, they often come with quirks, which are small little changes to your behavior or impulses that you have. And immediately you just have the urge that you just want to knock some things off of tables and shelves. It's not an overwhelming urge. You can resist it, but it's there. Like, do you just see something on a table and you just kind of want to push it off?
Yeah. Yep. I will totally. Yep. Knock my sweater off the stool or whatever that's laying there.
Excellent.
Knock my coat off for a minute and go.
All right. So it's pretty early in the morning, but you can hear around you the sounds of other people waking and getting amongst their routine. So what does Daria's routine look like in the morning? Breakfast, you cook it yourself, you go out, exercise, do some yoga, tai chi. Like what do we see you do on a typical day?
Daria would wake up, probably usually make her own breakfast unless there was some kind of like at home. I'm sure there is. Her and her best friend must have like a little bake shop or something. They would love to grab stuff in the morning. But without that, she's pretty fine with making her own tea. I would definitely make some tea. I would stretch. I would do some yoga type stretchy things. And then I would definitely want to make my bed, gather my things. I think that she's pretty good morning ablutions. She's probably fastidious about that.
Okay.
A tomboy, but she keeps things neat and tidy. And then she'd probably go to the mess tent where where Taylock is slinging morning meal. I'm sure just to grab the vibe of the place and the people and get to know faces.
Okay. All right. So we will leave you there, and we're going to jump over to Saul. So Saul, kind of the same scenario. We're going to start with you dreaming and kind of like what you're dreaming about. And as you wake up, kind of go about your morning routine.
Sure. So Saul is having a very energetic dream, and in this dream, it's one of those dreams where he has the last action hero vibe to it. He is on a large battlefield, surrounded by armies that he can't quite make out who they are, whether they be friend or foe, and it is a large battle scene full of all kinds of magical mayhem. He is slinging spells that he couldn't possibly ever imagine being able to sling, and it's going well. It's one of those dreams where it's in third person, and the camera gets all the great shots of everything, and it's all going well up until the point where the camera spins around and it comes to face him, and there's this kind of large looming shape that comes to a stop over him, and his face kind of goes, "Oh no!" And that's when he wakes up, and he's woken up by a bucket of water being tossed upon him, and he kind of slings himself up forward, and he's sitting on a tree stump, kind of outside. Someone had tossed a bucket of questionable things out, and Saul's not going to question too much what it might have been.
It's probably best if you
but
don't.
It's best for him if he doesn't. And he's gonna sit up and go, "Wow, that was fun." Huh. So as far as his morning routine goes, he will he'll pull out his meager meager mess kit, bed kit, kind of comb his hair back for the day. He's got that ridiculously high charisma, so that he his hair is always perfect. It doesn't matter, however it just happens. And he goes, and he's gonna find some food.
All right. So I want to jump in and thank ArcSage 3 for following, and then like Mercury Wolf 1985 just followed as well. Thank you both. So one thing that you notice, Saul, is your shadow is missing. So just as you go about your day, you just happen to notice that you don't see your shadow.
Bum bum bum.
Well, this has never happened before. It gets up to weird shenanigans, but it's never gone. Huh. He'll try and test it out and do things like, stand in front of the light and, look around behind him, see if it's like, underneath him or, under his feet or anything like that.
Nope.
Nope.
So however you look, it is gone. And then you catch a glimpse, you actually see your shadow coming towards you. And then there's a momentary sort of like a blinking sensation. And now all you remember is waking up. You have no memory of not seeing your shadow. So Brad knows that your shadow was missing, but as far as Saul knows, regular morning.
Man, that was a great dream. I'm hungry.
So you start making your way towards Gott's, and you notice right away that there is a very long line of mostly dwarves, because primarily the people that are working this dig site are dwarves. There are other races, pretty much all of them are mixed in, but like 90% or more are dwarves. And there's a long line, and you can hear people grumbling because the breakfast isn't ready. Normally it is. This is your first morning here, but there's basically a breakfast process, and it seems to be disrupted. You can kind of make your way towards the front of the line, and you can see Taylock is at like the cooking station and just seems to be staring dumbfoundedly, has no idea how to prepare breakfast. But you seem to. In fact, you seem to know exactly where everything in this kitchen is and should be, and you think you could step in and cook breakfast easily.
Well, yeah. I mean, who's going to feed all these people, all these customers? They need to get fed. There's money to be made. We're losing money. Come on, let's go. He'll jump in and he'll kind of push Taylock out of the way and start grabbing things. Of course, he'll stop and he'll put on, I'm sure his well-stained apron and everything
Of
like
course,
that. He'll actually reach down and take the apron off of him, put him on himself, and just kind of
Now
shuffle him over
Taylock's
to
a
the
gnome,
table.
so it's going to be more like a bib for you, but that's
Exactly.
fine.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good-looking bib.
Yes.
Saul will wear it with pride, and he'll start whistling a nice tune as he starts cracking eggs or doing whatever needs to be done.
Excellent. All right, and then we will go over to Rio. Same scenario, bit of a dream, bit of a routine. How you get started this morning?
Like most nights, I am dreaming of a carnival. And I might be very young. I might be my current age. It kind of depends on what reflective surface I may be looking at. But I am walking through the carnival, and I have a destination in mind. I don't. If I stop to think about it, I don't know why I'm going this way. But if I just let myself move, I'm going in a very specific direction. And I find my feet taking me to a hall of mirrors. And something flashes across these mirrors. Like in many dreams, I have an impression of it, but I cannot identify what it is. I feel like it is a humanoid shape when it has gone past, but if I think about it too hard in the moment, it may also be a more animal shape. It may be a more insectoid shape. The more I think about it, the more I am unsure. But the door is open, and there is a figure waiting for a ticket. And I am not able to move forward until I willingly give this ticket to this figure, whether it is cloaked in shadow or an actual cloak. I can't tell in the dream. But when I walk into a hall of mirrors, I find myself in a hallway, and just like a certain attraction at a certain theme park, the walls around me start to stretch, And I don't know if they're stretching or I'm shrinking, but I have that sensation of being under a magnifying glass and being under a very close inspection, an intense inspection. Someone or something is looking at me, and I am so small. And the more it looks at me, the smaller I get. And the smaller I get, the more I feel my heart racing in my chest. And because I am so small, it is likely to burst out of me. And that feeling of dread and terror builds and builds and builds. And then I wake up.
Now, you said you, like most nights, you dream of a carnival. Is it always like this sort of dream, or is it just in a carnival but different aspects of that carnival you're exploring?
I am frequently in the carnival. I am not always in the Hall of Mirrors. I am in other attractions. There are other interactions. And when I do dream of the Hall of Mirrors, it is not always the same. But when it is the worst version of my nightmare, it is exactly what I have described here.
Okay. So you start awake and you actually find that you have slept a little later. I don't know what your normal routine is, but it seems like the morning has progressed later. Like there's the sound of activity around you is already well progressing.
Mhm.
But what does your morning routine look like? How do you get ready for your day?
So my normal routine is what helps me shake off these dreams. I've lived with these dreams my entire life, as long as I can remember. And if I don't hit the beats of this routine exactly, my day just goes to hell. I can't get out of that dream state, so to speak. Not like I'm still dreaming or sleeping the day away. It's just the images stick with me so much that I can't do anything. I
Okay.
can't function. So this is a well practiced routine. I live by this. Um, I walk outside my tent. I start with, I guess in the real world we would call it like a tai chi or a yoga, but it's actually a very slow and deliberate version of the spell casting components, the somatic components, the hand motions, the body motions. So you would see me like moving my arms and shoulders, a lot of very fluid motions, different shifting of the hands and the wrist. I have to do this very slowly and deliberately because focusing on that very specific muscle movement is what gets my brain out of this dream lock nightmare. My eyes are closed. I'm just going through the motions. I'm kind of tuning out the chaos of the camp around me. As I am doing this, the camera can maybe look over my shoulder, look back to my tent. My tent's a mess. I've got stuff thrown everywhere. After last night, after Howard patched me up, I just threw my stuff down, took my coat off, threw it in the corner. Gremlin made a little nest of it overnight. The camera sees all of that getting cleaned up and organized. And depending on how you look, it may be out of the corner of your eye, maybe not. Some of it could be just little wisps of force, picking up the coat, shaking it out, straightening my scarf a little bit, cleaning up my notepad. If you look at it the other way, you might think you see a little blobby, quasi-humanoid figure picking things up, but then as soon as you look at it, it disappears. You're not really sure. You also see that on a little nightstand, little collapsible like camp nightstand, I have a notebook open and there's a pen, and that pen is moving magically, and it's taking notes of the previous day and my dreams.
Oh, very, very cool. All right, so we're going to just sort of jump ahead a little bit. And so Daria is making her way to Gods. I assume Rio was there as well. Saul has basically finished the breakfast rush. And Taylok was there kind of watching and really quickly, almost like through muscle memory, kind of catches on to what you're doing. So, like maybe even halfway through the breakfast rush, they will come over and kind of start to take over and kind of even laugh about like they can't believe that they don't remember how to do this. Like they've been making breakfast for years. It's just like the memory was just gone. It's like this crazy thing. It's unbelievable. It's just I don't know, but I tell you, like obviously, thanks you very much, and we'll not necessarily pay you money, but you basically got a bar tab that you can let go for quite a while before you're going to have to worry about it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, meal, all that stuff will be on the house for a while.
That's way better than money.
Way better than money. So the three of you kind of are gathering about the same time that everyone is done with their requirements. So we can even the three of you basically can be having breakfast, like the last couple meals that are being cooked. So the three of you can sit down at a table all around you. The morning crew is about to go off on their day. So you can kind of talk to each other and decide what you want to do. Now, at the end of last session, you had talked about going back into the same temple where you were in before. You do not have to do that, but I'd like to hear you talk about what your plans are and kind of what you want to do for the day.
Oh, hey, there you guys are.
This is a real good breakfast. Who made this?
Well,
Smells
I
delicious.
started out making the first part of it, but then Taylock came and pushed me out of the way. I mean, he did
What
an
a
okay
jerk.
job, personally. I know, I was doing so well.
Well, I approve. I like it. As we're sitting here, a couple mugs will float off of a nearby serving tray and sit down in front of us so we have a refill. I'm going to say we have coffee in this quasi magical, futuristic, or in the past world. We have coffee.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Waydeo4 for following. We appreciate it.
Hey.
But it has to have a name like Calf or something, or it has to have a fantasy name.
Yeah.
But not Calf. That's too easy. So think of
To
something.
the stream.
That's from something else.
Yeah.
Throw it to the stream.
Yeah.
What?
So someone name our fantasy coffee drink.
Oh, you guys sleep well? I'm a little sore from all that spider shenanigan.
Yeah, how you feeling? Hey, you got you pretty good there.
Yeah. That medic treat you well?
Oh God, Howard is the best.
Oh, that's good.
Real cold hands. Not his fault. He's a robot.
Noted.
But he patches me up. I lean down and look at my leg. It's perfect bandages. Everything looks spit spot in shape. It feels good. It doesn't hurt. Well, ow! It hurts if I push on it. Better not do that. I think I'm fine.
That's probably bad. That's good.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. You two doing all right? Did you suffer at all when you came to rescue me? Was everything okay?
I got a nice workout in. It was good. We had to dig. Daria and I dug a lot. We got the cardio in and the weights and pretty much everything. So we're probably good for a while.
Nice.
At least
I got
I'm probably good for a while.
A crazy, creature I've never seen before. Never read about spiders of that size. It's pretty amazing, really.
Oh, that's just normal. That is so normal for around here.
Yeah.
No. For what? Well, I'd hate to meet a dragonfly that big or a mosquito.
Yeah, those are nasty. There was one time I was in, I forget where it was. There was like this really big marsh, and it might have been a dragonfly. It almost carried Gremlin away. I was real mad. She got real mad. She yelled at me. She thought it was my fault.
Oh, I'd have words, absolutely.
I mean, it was her fault. She wasn't with me.
Poor thing.
And let's remind the audience, Gremlin is your...
Gremlin is my familiar. She is a cross fox.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
currently, she was probably bouncing between tables, like stealing scraps and begging. She is really good at sucking up to people. Big puppy dog eyes, the right little yips and begs, and she just knows how to play each person in this camp to get extra food from them. But as we're sitting here and I'm kind of complaining about her, Suddenly, she pops up on my shoulder and bites my ear.
Nice.
Ow! Stop! It was your fault. No, you took the statue. I didn't tell you to take the statue. Ignore her. She's wrong.
So, Daria, you might notice actually that Gremlin gives you kind of side eye and will move herself to sort of be on like the other side of Rio to you now.
Gremlin, you're adorable. What? Did I say something wrong?
What? You don't. That is rude. You apologize. You go away. I'm sorry. She didn't mean it.
You
I
find
wonder what-
Daria
what-
just sort of staring at the empty cups and plates and utensils that are just on the edge of the table. They haven't been cleared yet.
Yeah, we're talking. I wonder why she would have done something like that. Why would she do something like that?
Sometimes you just can't reason with her, so she's fine. Ignore her. Oh, what do we have on the docket
Really
today?
hard resist not to knock the rest of the things off them. Really, she's just like holding her own hands now.
Perfect.
So, what are we gonna do today? Do we have any plans?
I should probably find a tent at some point today because I slept on a stump last night. I guess it was
Oh, that's
not
not.
comfy.
You could have bunked with me. Why didn't you get?
I thought you had a
I-
place.
I said I was going to, and I never got around to it. I got distracted. He put on extra special noodles at night, and they were good.
They are good noodles.
Yeah.
Uh, I had sandwiches then too. It was
Okay.
hard, but
All right.
So-
Well, why don't we get you set up? I've got more work to do. If
work's good. Let's go do
I'm-
that.
So at this point in the morning, has the camp kind of quieted down, or it's still the hustle and bustle?
So this
around.
area is sort of quieted down with the majority of the workers going out to do their work. So most of the people here are not the active workers, but there are still other like administrative people that are here. So there's people, but not nearly as many. Now, one of the things that you've noticed, Rio, because we've kind of established you've been here a little longer, that this dig site has been going on for quite a while, a few months at least. But it seems like the majority of the effort so far has been trying to establish the boundaries. So they're more just trying to figure out like where the lines are, where the city is as a whole. You're one of the few people, because you're kind of doing your own thing because of your position with your organization, that is going into specific areas and then actually exploring down. Very few people are doing that. For the most part, they're just like putting flags out for like, okay, we think this is the wall, and as if they want to try to figure out the entire size and scope of the city before they really start digging down. So there are a few other people doing that, but for the most part, if you go into the interior of the dig site, you'll be by yourself. And certainly if you go below level, you're going to be one of the few, if only, people doing that.
So I will pull a piece of parchment, a map, out of one of my pockets, and I'll spread it out on the table. And it's kind of curled up and ragged, so I'll grab our mugs and like stack it on the corners and some plates so it holds it down. And I'm gonna say, all right, well, unless either of you has a task or a job or a mission, here's what I've been doing. And as I'm talking, little like the Apple pins will just blink into existence magically, bing, bing, in different colors. I'm like, so what I've been doing, I've been going through some of these different buildings that we've uncovered. Here, ding, is the temple where I was yesterday, where, thank you again, you saved me. Here, and here, bing, bing, bing. This is what I think are just like some regular houses that I was looking at last week. Over here, bing, bing, bing. This, I think, is a blacksmith shop and some merchants. I'm just trying to poke around. I'm kind of gridding things out and trying to hit each building one after another just to figure out what they are. So we could keep going down the line and just hit the next one on the list if you want.
Well, we still have the rest of that temple to explore.
Good point.
'Cause I think we owe that large creature a little something. I think, and I got that side couple rabbits that
Yeah.
she might want. I think.
Okay. We could definitely do that. Yeah, I really didn't get to dig in as far as I wanted to, so I'm up for that if that's what y'all want to do.
Keep my word for me.
All right.
It might make things easier if she's got friends further in.
Good point. Yeah, I'm down with that.
All right. So the three of you make your way more into the interior. You're still not very far into this, but it's, again, you're going more from the edges than anyone else around you. And there are color-coded flags that have been set up that Rio probably knows and can probably be guessed pretty easily. But they're establishing, like, if they identify something as a certain color flag, the border's a certain color flag. But what you find as you near this temple entrance, the flags are gone, as if someone has pulled them up. So, the three of you, you're able to get back to it pretty easily, but you should have been able to get there perfectly easy because the flags that told you where to go have been moved for some reason or removed. You don't see them anywhere. They're just gone. But again, that's only a bit of a problem. But you're still able to find the hole, which again has been filled in. So when you arrive, it has once again been filled in, and you're going to have to dig your way back through again. But the three of you won't take very long. It's just an oddity, something you would have noticed, of course.
Well, the flags I don't understand, but filling in that hole, if I were a mother with babies like that, I'd probably do the same thing. I think that's our friend. Making it a little tougher for other people to wander in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe. Or it could be wrong.
I'm trying to remember. I don't recall running into spiders who were really good at digging in this part of the world. But you never know. I'm not sure.
You've been here longer. Good to know. Oh, did you guys give me this? And I'm going to pull the fan out. Is this from here?
Oh, that's a nice fan.
Isn't it? Is it nice?
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
So when you open the fan this time, the only thing you actually see is a paw coming over the top as if it's like trying to like attack something on this side, but there's no cat on the other side. So it's just the paw down.
Huh. Well, there was a whole cat here. Strange. Well, all right. It's a mystery. A mystery of the dig.
What? Wonder if it has anything to do with my weird magic box.
Maybe they're friends.
Could be.
Could
I. Is there anyone around right now? As
No.
we're kind of digging.
No, you are off completely by yourself. You don't see anybody around you.
But it is like what, noonish maybe?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So yesterday when we found the box, we were in the cave, and then by the time we got out and I was hurt, didn't really look at it a whole lot. But can I fish it out real quick and look at it in the light of day, see if it looks any different or
Sure.
does
So,
anything different?
So basically, it appears to be like a solid piece of one thing. Again, it's sort of like a rhombus, so it's like a thin rectangle, but it's got both edges are kind of going the same way.
Mm-hmm.
There are no designs on it that you can see, so there's no engravings, there's no indentions, there's no carvings. It looks metallic, but it feels ceramic, but it is neither of those things.
If I hold it up to the sun, try to catch, can I look through it and see anything? Or
No,
anything?
it's solid. It catches the light as you would expect, so there doesn't appear to be, other than again, it's not as heavy as it looks like it should be, but it seems sturdier than it looks like it is. There's definitely some oddities to it, but there's nothing, obviously magical or what its purpose is like that. There's, yeah.
if I like smack it like a tuning fork, does it make a sound? Does it hum a weird?
It does, but it's not metallic, so it's not like a a
Mhm.
reverberating sound. It's more like hitting like a piece of like china
Hmm.
plate or something.
I'll look over to the other two, specifically Saul. So I know you kind of recognized this, or at least knew where it was yesterday. Does anything else come to mind out here?
Well, out here, no, not so much, but maybe down there.
Hmm.
Motioning down to the hole.
All right, it's worth a shot. So yeah, let's dig a hole again.
All right. So the three of you working together, it's not very hard to dig a hole. And then essentially what you've done is you've dug a hole and then broken through the top of this temple and got inside. And this is something we kind of touched on last time, but Rio, you would be more familiar, is that the city is almost pristine. And I keep harping on that because it's so unusual. Like you have explored many underground temple or forgotten place, but like this one is in such good repair that is unusual. The other thing that's unusual is there's no evidence that you've seen so far of any people. So there's no bones, there's no bodies. It's believed that this city has been here for thousands of years. It's back from previous ages, so long ago that no one remembers what it is or why it's here or anything like that. But normally you would find skeletons, even like animal skeletons, but there are none. So the building itself, once you're inside, it's almost like you're walking in any building in the contemporary time. The hallways are intact, the rooms are intact, but if you go to a doorway, there's going to be earth on the other side of it because it is sunk underground and the earth filled in. But basically, you can go into a building and explore it as if you would anything else. But if you want to get to another building, you either have to find a way through the earth or go up, go over, and then go down again. So it doesn't take you very long to get back to the room that you were in because you were only a few rooms into this temple when you got there. And this was, it's appears to be like the worship area. So there was like an altar. There were lines of pews. The pews have degraded and disintegrated, but you can see where they would have been. And this is where Saul had some memory or a figment of a memory that something about the altar seemed off, and that is where you found the object, as we will call it for now, because I can't think of a better term, the rhombus, which was hidden beneath in like a little cubby hole. There's also the doorway from which the spiders that came at you yesterday came from. But there are other areas to explore within this temple as well. So what would you like to do?
Well, first things first, I think I'd like to get the brace of rabbits I guess I would have grabbed from our tavern keep. And like, hello, madam, I promised you something, so I think goodwill and good morning and breakfast, I guess. I'll leave it here for you.
So your voice, it echoes, but there's sort of a dullness to the echo, which, again, I'm making stuff up. I don't know. But it seems like what I would think would make sense if you were actually in a building underground that was completely engulfed in earth all the way around it. So there's nothing unusual to you in that situation, but your voice doesn't quite echo the way you would have expected it to. There's not quite the hollowness that you would have expected. But there's no obvious response. The door itself is disintegrated, but there's the archway, which is made of stone. And if you peer inside, and I assume some of you have light. I haven't even asked that yet. I have to assume somebody's got like a light spell or something, right? Rio, is that you?
Yeah,
Bing, bing,
I've
bing,
also
bing.
got dancing lights. If
Okay.
need be.
So there's
We wanna
there's
strobe
magical
out.
lights floating around. So you can see that it's almost like a small antechamber off of this main worship area. Maybe this is where the priest or the whoever officiated here would have prepared themselves, like with vestments. There's there's almost nothing here, but the shape and size of the room, that's what makes you think of. But you see no spiders. You see no evidence of spiders. No, it's not even like a lot of cobwebs or anything, but there are hallways that extend off either side. So in my view, you basically went to the right, we'll say east, just for a tracking, and there's hallways to the north and to the south out of that room as well.
So as we're looking around, kind of trying to figure this out, put the puzzle pieces together, Gremlin is sitting on my shoulders.
Okay.
I'd like to have her kind of sniff around some of these hallways.
Okay.
Not trot down the hallways, but look into them, take a couple, little jaunts down each one, not a far way away, but see if she can tell us anything about seeing the other spiders or any evidence of the spiders or anything else that might be kind of scary.
Okay. So let's clarify here for me as well as for everyone else. So how exactly do you communicate with Gremlin? Is it telepathic, or does she actually come back and you converse with her in common, or is it like an animal speech that you can understand, but like Saul and Rio couldn't, or Saul and Daria couldn't?
So I talked to her as we saw at breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
She sometimes telepathically communicates with me, sometimes chirps and yips and barks at me, depending on her mood. I just take it all in stride and think we're having a conversation.
Fair enough.
Definitely no one else. Well, Daria probably can understand her if she is vocalizing.
Okay. Is there a limit from the telepathic communication? Like if she gets so far away, does that dull, or is this like anywhere on the planet you could speak with her?
I think it is fair to say that we have to be in the same general vicinity. There's a magical bond that connects us, but she is, for the most part, a regular fox.
Gotcha. Okay. So Gremlin will hop down, and as you've directed, which is something, again, I'm sure Gremlin and you have done, countless times before, she will go into this area, this antechamber, and describe it. It's basically like a circular room with hallways that go north and south. There's an alcove to the opposite side of where you are basically looking in, but it's just kind of dead end. It's just like a little 5-foot area space, and there doesn't appear to be anything there. So would you want her to go north or south first?
North first.
All right. So she turns north, and she will communicate that it's cold and a little bit colder in that room, and there's a grade of the floor is sloping down. It's not drastic, but it's definitely like as she's going north, she's going lower as well. There's a bit of a hallway, 20, 30 feet, continues on. Again, strangely clean, strangely clear. And then it sort of opens into like a catty corner space. There's a hallway that goes off of it back now to the west. But there's an area here almost like the closest thing I think of, if you've ever been in those like national parks where they have those like huge steps that you have to climb, that like every 40 steps they'll put a little place for you to sit because you're going to die because you can't climb 1,000 steps at a time. So it almost is like a little way station, but it's so close to the top, and there's no clear idea what its purpose originally was, but it's just like an opening there now.
Okay, so I'll have her come back, and I'm sketching. Actually, I have my notebook open. I have a different notebook open, and as she's telling me this stuff, a quill is just moving over the page, jotting everything down.
Okay.
So I'll have her come back and then head over south.
Okay.
Tell us what she sees.
So south only goes about 30 feet, and then it dead ends into a doorway, and this door is made of stone. So it's actually still intact.
Interesting. So as I am writing all this stuff down, we're the three of us just kind of talking about it, like what we might want to do.
Yeah. So it's actually, let's jump over to Daria for a minute. What are you doing while this is happening? So Gremlin is kind of exploring. Rio is probably translating a little bit. He has the map he's drawing, but are you just standing there, or are you looking around on your own? Like what is Daria doing?
I would lay the brace of rabbits at the doorway to where we saw her come out of
Okay.
before. And I'll kind of take a peek in there, but I'm not going to go too far away from Saul.
Okay,
Um,
so that's where Saul's at right now, or I'm sorry, that's where Rio's out, is looking into where the spiders came from. So you're in this opening area, but there's other places like you could explore on your own. You could look around, or I mean, again, I'm not telling you have to do anything. I'm just giving you an opportunity if there's something you would want to do while
uh,
Rio's doing his thing.
while Rio's doing his thing, I would definitely give him room to do that, and I'll just kind of be poking around at things and staying kind of close to Saul, checking the map that is being quilled, and then maybe just kind of peeking into the east, not going there, but trying to see if I can suss it out because I'm going to be curious.
Okay. All right. And then what about you, Saul? So what are you doing while Rio is diagramming and researching and investigating?
Saul's been poking around. He's summoned up some, some dancing lights, and it's kind of like sending them off. A little bit ahead of him. He's trying to do two things. One, he's trying to kind of see what's around the area too, but he's also kind of going to stay on Overwatch. Just keep an eye out for those spiders or anything else that might be hanging around in this place, whatever that might be. Something's obviously cleaning it, or keeping it clean, so there has to be something here.
Okay. All right. So I'll go back to you, Rio. So Gremlin has told you there's a stone door to the south out of that room. And then there's further to go north, but it was down deeper and getting colder. So now what would you like to do?
All right. So when she sees the door, I'll have her come back. And I'm going to guess this probably took us like what, 15 minutes, half an hour?
Half an hour, roughly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, this is what we're looking at, and I'm looking at the map that we've been talking about and writing. What do we want to do? Any suggestions?
Well, I'm kind of interested. What's down? What's lower?
What do you think? Looking over at Daria.
I'll agree. I think that if one way ends in a door proper, that might just be living storage, but going farther, a bigger space, that's literally going somewhere. So let's go see.
Okay.
All right. So I assume all three of
Is
you will
our,
be going. How far ahead is Gremlin going to? Are you gonna? In my head, you're sending Gremlin out. She comes back. You go down to where she was, and you're just sort of like doing that. But you can tell me if that's not what you're doing.
So now that we have kind of a specific path to go to, I want her to stick with me a little bit closer. If we get to a point that I feel we want to explore a little bit more, I might have her do a short little trip. But I'm more than a little bit suspicious of heading down where it's cold, so I want her close.
Okay. I'm sorry. I heard.
and before we head out of this room, I'll take a back look over my shoulder at the hand carved doorway that we made. Is it still there? Does it still appear to be the same size? Has anything changed with it?
You do not see anything at the moment, but once you go into this hallway, you will not be able to see it until you
Right.
obviously come back.
Oh,
Okay, but it's still there, and everything still looks fine with it.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So as the three of you plus Gremlin start to make your way down, the slope is not, again, it's not a steep grade, but it is clearly sloped down. And similar to like what I kind of described, it does seem to be making sort of a large corkscrew. And like every full revolution, there's another one of those little places that seems like a rest area. And it continues to go down and continues to get colder. And it's not like, you're not going to freeze to death, but it's noticeably colder after like the 8th revolution. You would guess you've descended several hundred more feet. And then you get to a point where water has started to sort of leak in. So there's just a dampness in here, and as you go down, you get to what you think is the bottom level, and there's about a foot of standing water that's down here. So every step you take is splashing in water, and this appears to be catacombs. So there are those basically divots in the walls, and there's bodies, skeletons that are lining them, and it continues to go like a long hallway. It's about 30 feet wide, about 8 feet tall, and there's 4 slots for, I don't know if there's a correct term for this, but basically there's skeletons inhabiting each of these slots, and it just keeps going down further into the darkness. You think that at this point you are traveling north in relation to where we started. So obviously you're much further down, but that's the way you think you're going.
Okay, so as we were,
I'm sorry, Daria.
Do they look disturbed at all?
No, they appear that they look like someone was buried here, interred, I guess, and they just their bones, they're there. Like they don't have weapons. They don't have like swords with them. They just look like bones.
So
Does it look old?
Yes, ancient.
Does it have dust on it?
Yeah, it's not clean like someone has come through and like hoovered up around them.
Kind of like the rest of the temple is, so.
Kind of, yes.
Being hoovered up as opposed, this would not be.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we were going down the ramp, I was using some of my different cantrips to kind of magic spray paint arrows the way we were going.
Okay.
Magical breadcrumbs, just in case anything decided to change our path. And of course, we've got lights going for all of us. So basically, we're spiraling down, what we think is the bottom level, standing water.
Yeah.
And then there's a big hallway stretching out in one direction.
Correct.
Huge, wide hallway.
Correct.
And so the essentially the ramp empties into the dead end of the hallway.
Yes.
Okay. And you said it was 4 like tombs. Is it 4 high?
Yes. So it's like 4 high on either side, and they just extend as far as you can see in front of you.
The water, is it like stale and brackish water?
Yes.
Ugh.
That's not good.
Gross.
So is Gremlin like on your shoulder? Is she going to walk around in this? It's not very deep. It's like maybe a foot high, so she would be okay. But
no, she is refusing to touch this water. She is definitely either on my shoulders or popping in and out of my pockets of my big kind of overcoat.
Mm-hmm.
And she definitely Scooby-Doo's between pockets that don't connect.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
So sometimes she jumps down into this pocket and then sticks her nose out over on the other side. All right.
Just because I'm going to take a bit of like a mushroom or a bit of tea from my pouch, something that's got a little weight, like a nugget maybe of some hard tacky food. Like that's what it is. It's like a granola bar hard tacky thing from the mess hall, from the mess tent, and I'm gonna break off a piece and just.
All right, it'll
get a good 30 feet or more away from us into that water and just see what happens.
It splashes and then seems to float there. Probably so small it'd be hard to see, but like it doesn't disappear. Nothing like leaps out and like eats it. It appears to be what you would expect if you just threw it down a long hallway full of water.
Good to know. Good to know. No other guests. Good to know.
So I've been in a lot of tombs and a lot of dungeons, and this is a bad situation.
Really? Why?
Smack you in the face. That's why. Shut up.
Is there a good and a bad tomb?
Yeah, good tombs don't have a bunch of dead bodies when we're hundreds of feet below ground. Good tomb, temple in the air. Bad tomb, temple underground with water and lots of tombs. But I'm curious. Very curious. I'm going to slosh over to one of the resting places. From what you were describing, and kind of what I stereotypically envision as a catacomb, the bodies are just there, or the skeletons. There's no more bodies.
Correct. Yeah.
There's no like sarcophagi or
Right.
caskets or anything.
Yeah. It's just like somebody
There's
just kind of
catacomb.
cut out a hole, like a little slot in the wall. Somebody laid inside there, either alive or dead, is dead now, and now it's turned to bones. And they're so ancient that the bones have basically turned to stone at this point.
Right. So I'm going to start really investigating some of these bodies for a couple minutes here. And as I am doing this work, a couple different little tools just float out of my pockets. Little magnifying lens, little tweezers, little brush. I'm doing that almost archaeological thing where I'm very carefully like trying to pick away what might be dust, what might be remains. For a second, I'm like standing in the water, and I'm looking, and then I get a little closer, and I get a little closer, and then you see me like step using one of the bottom ones as a rung almost. And after like 5 minutes, I'm like half in one of these little tombs, like almost straddling over one of these bodies. Like I'm just in the zone.
All right.
And I'm trying to figure out anything I can. Was this humanoid? What race might it have been? Can I find anything that might be a remain of evidence? Any information?
All right. So there's a couple things that you will be able to determine. Again, I assume this is something your character would be able to figure out. All of the bodies that you look at are human, at least humanoid. I myself don't know if you. I guess you could probably tell the difference between like an elf and a half elf and a human skeleton. I would assume. I don't know.
I would assume so. I can make some rolls if you want.
We're gonna say yes. So these appear all to be human. They are all female, and they are all missing their left ring finger.
Oh, scheisse.
And when we say all, I've over the course of some time here, I'm checking like a couple dozen of them.
Yeah, you're not checking all of them, but whether you pick 1, 2, 3, or 4 slots, which side of the hallway doesn't matter. Every single body you check is a female, humanoid missing the left ring finger. They're all laying the same way, so basically they're all laying so that they're on their back as if their heads were like facing towards you. So the feet are closer to you, their heads are further away on their backs. And it's just every one that you check, that's what you're going to find. There's no material possessions that would have survived. There's no clothing. There's no weapons. There's no artifacts. There's no like jewelry that you're going to find. But other than that, that's basically what you're finding.
I officially am declaring this hallway level 10 scary. I don't like it down here.
Does Saul know about any type of religion where this might be a common burial method? Cut the ring finger off and this sort of a thing.
That's a good question, because as we've established, Saul seems to know things that there's no explanation for Saul to be able to know. So we're going to do a good old-fashioned high or low, and we'll see if you know anything about this.
Okay.
For the audience, it's been 1 hour, and this is the first dice roll, and it's not even a player doing it.
Welcome to a Michael game.
Hey.
We're gonna go high today.
Okay. So you do have a flash of a memory that there are some religions, and possibly maybe not even religions, some orders, where females are chosen to be like guards, security enforcers, and part of that initiation is that they will take no husbands. They will be married only to their cause, and the removal of the left ring finger would indicate maybe that they are married only to this profession or this this
Hmm.
cause rather than to any earthly union.
Rio, I was kind of thinking as you're describing all this, and it kind of kicks off a memory. I've kind of heard of groups that may, do some things like this. There, were orders or religions or, um, yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Orders and religions that used to do this. They would have women be sentries for them, or guards, or some type of maybe enforcers, and they would well, they'd cut their fingers off as a sign of their devotion to their cause. So maybe this is some type of place of honor for previous, you know, guardsmen, sentries. Um,
Divine marriage to guard your god.
Interesting.
So
What a
I
flower.
I give Saul that long blink. Okay. I'm going to increase the level of this tunnel now. This is like a level 13 scary.
Goes above 10.
It goes as high as it needs to.
Arming themselves, I think, for
Well, there's no weapons. There's no armor. So if you're right, this could be like a sacred place of rest for the honored that have passed or died in their cause.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of kind of his inspiration, can I cast my mind back to anything I might have read recently, or anything I might have studied back at the library, see if that rings a bell, jogs a memory?
I'm going to say, well, actually, I mean, with your background, I'm going to say yes, because you should have a chance because you read everything and you can remember everything you read. So I'll do the similar high or low.
Low.
Low. So nothing specific. Like you have some memories similar to Saul that this is something that you probably have experienced before, but there's not enough evidence right now for you to pin it down to a specific order or a specific religious. But him saying that, you're like, yeah, that absolutely makes sense to what this is probably. Now, you don't think this is a thing where these skeletons are going to rise as much as, like, to Saul's point, this may be like a place of honor for their service in life.
So I wouldn't want to. If it's an honorable place of rest, I wouldn't want to disturb it or desecrate it. In case any of that spiritual guardian.
While Rio currently has his boot on one of their faces because he's trying to get to the next level, right?
Might want to think the honor of their rest. Just.
All right, so
This would be worse than spiders. This would be worse.
I mean, if they were all undead, then yes, it would definitely be worse than spiders.
To that point, I would mention that you've seen no other entrance or exits, and the other way that Gizmo checked was locked, and you have yet to come on any evidence of spiders.
We're worried about spiritual weapons we can't see now.
For the record, this is worse than roof ninjas.
Show's not over yet.
Oh.
How tall is the ceiling? Is it like just a vaulted?
Yeah, it's concaved. So it goes
Okay.
up again about 8 and then kind of curves up. So probably at the top, it's like maybe 12, 13 feet tall.
Okay. And we don't see an end to this hallway.
No, it goes further than your sights.
What do you say
Not
we
offering.
go down the hallway?
Bread. The bread was an offering. Eh, Not really a test for monsters. If you're listening.
And the water is still about a foot deep, no matter how far down we go.
Correct.
Just stays.
If we stop for a second, everybody stop. Let the water settle. Any current or anything?
So if there's one, it's very minor. So I'll just say, big picture, the water is going somewhere eventually. Otherwise, it would have flooded all the way up. But there's not like a river anywhere. It's just like it's seeping through cracks and crevices. So there would be a small current, but it's not very fast moving.
As a river water terrain person, could I tell if this is just water table level water or if this has been put there?
It looks like water table. It looks like you've gone so low because again, the city sank. So the city is a few hundred feet lower than it was originally.
Okay.
You also know that you're in the area of the Fangs, which again is like 5 rivers that flow into a sea. So there's a lot of water in the ground just around you at all times.
Good.
Anyway.
So underground rivers, I could. Oh, good. Can I track this current and see if it's water table? And I know the Fangs are here. Can I just kind of take a assessment of what this looks like and see if we could? Is this going to lead to bigger water? Is this running because it's?
Yeah, I don't think so. And again, my apologies if I'm explaining this poorly, but in my mind is that it's staying here long enough that it has become brackish, but it is eventually going out somewhere. That's why it's not filling up completely. So it's a very, very slow drain process through just natural cracks and crevices from probably when the city sank or just natural, water finds a way type of a thing. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I apologize.
So no Gringotts level rushing water rapid ride. Okay, good.
Correct.
Okay, good.
So here's what's interesting. The city sank. We are arguably hundreds of feet below ground. So does that mean this was already here and the city sank into it? Or it was part of the city and we are sunk, like it sunk down even further?
The whole city kind of.
Like you just pushed it down further.
I think.
Well, Rio, were you here when they dug the wells for the dig? How deep did they have to dig? You would hope there's not that much change in the water table over that far.
Rio would know the answer to that question.
Oh.
And the DM would say, whatever makes sense for the scenario I've created to this point.
So I wouldn't think I wouldn't think we would have had to dig down hundreds and hundreds of feet to find water. So
No.
This is like another even deeper kind of level of that, if that works out right.
So again, the way in my head anyways is that you've passed the level where the water is seeping and it's collecting down here. So we can say that the water table is high enough above you that it makes sense. And this is just where it's like it's come down and collected here, and then is only slowly coming out of this place. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Okay, so a lot of unknowns. I think we should go a little ways down and then come back.
Send your lights first, maybe. Can you?
Oh, yeah. This is like
It's a bit dark.
neon neon spells of lights are just constantly flickering off right now. It never gets dark. That's too scary.
It's like
We're
a
in a
rave.
giant rave. Everybody break out the glow sticks.
All right. So the three of you continue to walk along these catacombs. And for the most part, it appears to be unchanging. Like all the slots where the bodies are appear to be roughly the same size, same shape. Everything, is just sort of continuous. But after about 100 or so feet, you do see something in front of you that's different. There's something basically in the center of this hallway. As you get a little bit closer to it, there is an opening that opens up to basically like a circle. So think about like you're walking down an exclamation point and you've got to the dot at the bottom. Inside the center of that, there is a platform that's about a foot taller than the water, made of stone, and it appears to be shaped in like an octagon. So there's a flat side, then it kind of, angles up, angles out, and then comes back around. So there's a stone octagon disc about a foot out of the water, and there is some sort of writing or something on it. You can't tell from where you're looking, but there's like carvings or indentations or scratches or something on it. But otherwise, it's featureless. There's nothing. There's like no statues on it. There's no stones on it. It's just sort of, it looks like a disc floating in the water. But other than that, you can't tell from here.